What is up? It's a Fit Gear Hunter, and today we have the final review for the brand new Garmin Forerunner 955. This watch has it all, and it has it all for $500 or $600 if you want the solar version. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing for more. Lots of other reviews on the way. And as always, I test and track devices for the purpose of CrossFit and high intensity interval training versus all the running, swimming, and biking videos that are out there. So everything in this review is going to be focused and based on how the Garmin Forerunner 955 can benefit your CrossFit training program, both from the intensity and tracking the intensity of your training, all the way to the wellness and the recovery side of your training. So stay tuned. We're gonna dive into three basic parts. Number one, we're gonna look at the watch and the watch features just as a functional watch. We're gonna look at all the old but still good or great benefits, and then we're gonna look at all the new and exciting benefits. Then we're gonna look at the fitness aspects and training focused side of the watch, both on the old that are still awesome features as well as the new and exciting features. And last, we're gonna look at the wellness and recovery features, old and new and exciting. So as I go along, I'm gonna focus on some primary things, but you're gonna hear me periodically say, no one else has this. That's gonna become a theme of this review. No one else has this feature or that feature over there. No, they have a partial version here, and then at the end, we're gonna give it a full comparison to all the other major watch manufacturers and other available watches on the market, and I can tell you why this is actually a much better choice. So in all of these things, there's gonna be timestamps down below, so if you wanna jump to a section, you can do so. I'm just gonna sort of dive in. Instead of just telling you the features, I'm gonna show you the features, and then we're gonna talk about it at the end. Also, this review is at a significant time. It's gonna capture some of the unique benefits of this watch, unlike in other review videos, because this review is being shot at the end of Hell Week. This week has been rough in major categories, and it's gonna capture these new features and even accentuate them by showing how the watch sets off a bunch of alarms when you are down in the dumps on a multiple of physical levels. So I am wrecked from this week. Both work has been crazy busy. I've been burning the candle at both ends. Sleep has been terrible, like 5 to 5.5 hours. And on top of which, I've been training somewhat more rigorously. So Monday's training, Tuesday's training, and then capping it off with Wednesday's hard workout that ended in this basic result. That's right, that's not precipitation. I wasn't in the rain when I worked out. I worked out in a completely dry environment. That's all hard work, folks. That's all hard work that you saw spilling out on the ground. The watch literally said, and so I want to share this because it sets the stage for how you're going to see all the stats come to life. The watch said I need to take 95 hours off at the end of that workout. 95 hours before I even attempt another hard workout. I didn't quite do that, but that's what the whole frame of all the stats are going to show. So hard workout Monday, hard workout Tuesday, and then incredibly hard workout Wednesday as I'm building this sleep deficit and getting poor sleep. And so I took Thursday off. It was basically a super busy work day. By the end of Thursday, I was fried like a zombie. So I did a little bit. Whenever you see yoga in the video, I'm testing the GoWOD app. I'm actually incorporating regular and frequent mobility, both before the workout and after the workout, and then on my rest days, just to be able to see how it actually helps and benefits your training. So all the watch details are gonna take from that vantage point. So let's dive in to look at the watch features, the fitness and training features, and the wellness and recovery features. All right, Garmin 955, we're gonna look at a number of different aspects. If you see a little scratch, this is a screen protector, a little glass thing. That's what that is. It's not the actual screen. So when looking at this, just looking at size, it is 46.5 millimeters wide by 16 millimeters thick. That is really comparable with all the other watches that are on the market. And the screen now is not 1.2, but 1.3 inches in diameter. So you're getting about 18% more screen coverage. The screen itself is the brightest of the current watch offerings that Garmin has out. So you basically, at any time, you can adjust the brightness. I have it jacked up to 100%. It's 115 lumens. If you compare that to the Fenix 6 Max Brightness, that was 65 lumens. The new 255 as well as the Fenix 7 goes to about 80 lumens. This goes to 115 lumens. That is the brightest watch on the market today. So the battery life is rated at 15 days or 20 days if you have solar, as well as 42 hours of GPS, continual GPS in the all systems mode. So when you think about the battery from the other watches, typically, if you turn the brightness up to that full brightness or to a higher version of the brightness, you're going to cut your battery life down significantly. But this has an all-new processor in it. And so with the all-new processor, I'm now getting 10 days at 60% brightness. 9.5 to 10 days, 60%. That is huge. Anytime I go to 60% brightness on any other Garmin watch, it would cut it down. Even on a 14-day average watch where that was the spec listed, it would cut it down to 4.5 to 5.5 days. So they're doing something tons more efficient and using this watch in 9.5 to 10 days in having it at much brighter specs. Now, looking at the watch and the rest of it, this is the Elevate 4.0 heart rate sensor on the back. It is a plastic casing with metal buttons, so nothing too sexy or glorious about the casing structure. It is a 22 millimeter band, and the red doesn't come on this watch. You can't get the red. It has a fixed rubber band, so you see there's no removable pieces in there. You just have to get like a little pocket knife, pop out the spring just like you would on an old school watch, put the spring back in, and you can use any of these little quick fit on Amazon. The Elevate 4.0 is a new heart rate sensor, a new blood oxygen sensor, pulse ox sensor, and it is now coming in the mid 90s for accuracy, and that's even doing a CrossFit workout. The original Elevate 3.0, which is on the Fenix 6, 945 original, the 245 original, the 745 original is about 75% accurate when doing CrossFit, and that is way too inconsistent. If you want to evaluate the rigor of a workout, you have to have the higher level accuracy. Now, I tell everybody, connect to a chest strap, connect to a heart rate monitor armband in order to get the heart rate accuracy that you need to be able to make the most of everything. Same power connector there. And so we're going to look at some of the basics of the watch itself, just functionally using it as a watch. One thing I like is you hold this down, you can add and subtract all these quick functions. I like using it as a flashlight. I like obviously adjusting the backlight if you need to, setting your alarm, stopwatch. I use this for a kitchen cooker counting stopwatch. So lots of quick functions there. And then you have something that is really cool is that the watch faces, they're always introducing new watch faces with new watches, but the watch faces here actually tie in whole new data metrics that are available for customization. Like you have my recovery time, and look at that, 68 hours. That was taken yesterday off. You have your load, and then one of the things that is super unique about the watch faces, and these are the watch faces that come sort of out of the box. Well, I technically deleted a lot of the ugly ones, but the new, more custom to this watch are these ones you see here. And one thing that is super unique, that is cool about this new edition of the watch is now, these are all third-party apps. These are all third-party watch faces, but this one in particular, this one's really unique because it used to be you could never get body battery on a third-party watch. You couldn't get body battery on a Garmin watch face as a data field. You can now get the body battery, you can see the recovery time, you get a whole bunch of new data fields that are capable for third-party watch face creators. So all new feature set there. We'll just exit out, but the watch faces and the fact that you can add these customizations is really cool, is a whole new thing. So in the watch itself, the screen, the brightness, and even the clarity of the colors throughout the watch, you can see it's crisp, it's got sharp blacks, sharp colors. This is the best screen of any watch. No one has this level of brightness and clarity and size all in one on any watch that's currently on the market today. So that covers the basics there. So let's look at the widgets. I arranged the widgets by what we're going to talk about first. The weather widget is cool. So it is basically showing new stats here. I like this summary page of the UV index. If you're going to actually do a lot of outdoor exercise, you can pay attention to the UV index to whether you need to. And the dew point and humidity actually tells you how much humidity is going to be in the air and how sweaty you're going to get. Music controls, it has music, but one thing that's awesome about this watch is it has four times at 32 gigabytes on here versus the 255 music, which has 4 gigabytes. So it gets 4 times or 8 gigabytes. It has 4 times the music capability storage, so you can put a lot more songs on here. And the fact that you can download Spotify playlists. So you can download Spotify playlists. Is the only watch manufacturer of its kind where you can download Spotify playlists other than Apple Watch. But we're talking true sports training watches now. So there's no other sports training watch, even if it has data storage or music storage, you're getting out the old MP3s from Napster if you want to download it in that. So that's the music. This is kind of a cool thing, sunrise, sunset. Now, that's been on a lot of watches. And the notifications. Notifications work really solid. The Polar family of watches, the notifications are always spotty. They come in chunks. They don't come in at all. So those are the summary of the watches. The one thing I would also add is the mapping is just a basic, let's just say, watch benefit. It applies to a lot of the things that, it obviously applies to, you can sort of, once you're in a workout, you can zoom in, you can move your finger around and just move the maps around, but you can actually use this to route to the local Starbucks. You can use it to route to a trail. On the trail, you can route to the next trailhead or to a water station. You can route to multiple things. No one has mapping like this. Nobody offers this kind of true in-depth route to course type mapping just built into the watch. One thing I'm going to just put in the watch feature set is this has got multi-band GPS. But more than that, it is actually much more, in my opinion, it's more advanced than any of the other multi-band GPS watches that are being offered. So you can just go with straight like single GPS. You can do all systems, which means it's going to lock on to the single best system type, or you can do all plus multi-band. So what they are evolving is the all system and multi-band, which means it is looking for which of these two. The all systems is what they base the GPS battery life on. So the all plus multi means that it's going to bounce between. So like as DC Rainmaker says, if you're on like a 2-hour ride or run and it's mostly an open, open to the sky, you only need just basic GPS. If you go under a bunch of hills or in a bunch of tree cover where it suddenly needs multiband to keep a good lock, it'll switch over. But if you use multiband all the time, you're going to burn your battery life more significantly. So they have this new feature that includes both. No one else is doing that with the multiband capabilities. So that's the watch in summary. We're going to dive into actually wellness second versus what I said in the introduction. So wellness second. The first is the body battery. So again, like I said, I'm going to talk about the new and still awesome as well as the new and exciting. I mean, the old and still awesome and the new exciting. So this is body battery. So this calculates and assesses like how much you regenerated throughout your sleep and how much you depleted throughout the stress level of the day. And you can even overlay the stress that you've had throughout the last 4 hours, the last period of time. Now it is spotty because there was a huge workout in here. Took off the watch to shower and to ice my joints. So you're gonna miss some gaps of time there, but it does a fantastic job at assessing and heart rate variability. I mean, the stress tracking is using a heart rate variability tracking metric all day long. It doesn't publish the heart rate variability numbers, but at the same time, it is actually giving you heart rate variability assessment or impact of stress through heart rate variability assessment in this depletion. And you'll see that in the stress score itself. So again, there's the last 4 hours. You can see the overall stress of the day. Again, this is showing a summary of how stressed I've been through this week. Now, my stress level was relatively low, but it might have been just because I was so physically tired. My body just didn't even, move around that much. The sleep score, now this is the same as the Garmin 945 and it's better all at the same time. So it gives you all the averages, gives you a snapshot, gives you the stages. Those are all pretty quintessential regular things. But the biggest thing, you see a new chart here in the sleep stages itself and a new chart here in the sleep score. And I have found, and you'll see on the app in just a second, the sleep score is the single most important part of the sleep analysis. So there's a lot of debate on Garmin getting the stages right. And I would probably say from people that analytically looked at it, the stages aren't perfect by any stretch, but at the same time, I am finding the sleep score and the physiological factors that flow into the sleep score to be the most accurate. The sleep score I'm getting is the most accurate of any watch that I've tested on Polar, on Whoop, on Fitbit. I mean, Fitbit is terrible. I mean, they might get the sleep stages right, but they're always giving you like really positive scores on the sleep score, which is not accurate for me. So the sleep score itself is the most important and I think the most beneficial versus whether they're getting the stages right. So a new benefit, now we're on the new and exciting, is Health Snapshot. You can track 5 physiological metrics in a 2-minute little check. I don't really use it, but you can get a little report and it'll tell you that. The bigger thing on the wellness side is this heart rate variability, actual tracking throughout a night's sleep. First, it gives you the summary of how balanced you are throughout the last 7 days. I'm very unbalanced, and I agree completely with this. I've had nights where my heart rate variability was recovered or better, and then in the last couple of days, it was absolutely shot. Now, in the last night, I had some recovery because I rested yesterday and only did like a stretching video from GoWOD. So I had a little bit better. That was more consistent, but look, that is not balanced. Look at that Wednesday. I mean, I was in the gutter after the workout, after staying up late, doing extra work, in the gutter. And so that's why I'm unbalanced. You can see it's all over the place. It's far from the median. And so the unbalanced nature is now flowing into other physiological metrics, but I can see a lot more insight into my health and wellness and my recovery for training through this heart rate variability status, as well as the best part about it is the fact that it shows you can see. Whoop will just give you like your average number, but this now shows your full scores throughout the entire night. All right, so here you have the morning report. If you look at the morning report, you're gonna have your little name, little picture of the day, the weather averages, and then it's gonna ask you, are you ready for it? And you dive in, it's gonna give you the training readiness we've been seeing so far. Horrible lack of recovery. Sleep was poor last night, only 5 hours of sleep because, again, balance. I'm back into the balance category. I'm a little bit scattered and all over the place, but at least I'm on the upper end of what they're saying that I need to be. And the weather gets a full weather stats, and then the body battery recovery since midnight, and some mild recovery, but also was starting at a very low deficit. So that's the morning report, multiple factors. Look at the app to look at how wellness has evolved. All right, folks, so this is the landing page. So we didn't go through like a generic app overview because there's not a lot of changes there. Now, you just saw something disappear. That was my training readiness. So it basically gives you a training readiness snapshot at about 7 o'clock in the morning every morning, or that's when it says it took the last snapshot. We'll look at that in a second, but it disappears if you do a workout that's more intense than an aerobic effect of 2.5 or more. So if you have some sort of workout that pushes your aerobic capacity, then the training readiness goes away and it only lives on the watch. So you'll see your watch training readiness decline. But otherwise, you see all these stats, and we're going to look at a few of them. So the first, and this is old hat, is the body battery. So you can see the body battery shows how much you rejuvenate at night and how much you deplete during the day. So here's where I had that rigorous workout where I sweat 5 gallons of water, and I did not recover that much at night, and I didn't have too much wear down during the day, but I started at a very low value. Same thing on the day before, where just the workout caused me to have high level stress in the recovery from the workout, and I did not rejuvenate throughout the night. So you can see more of a normal night where you get up into a little bit higher peak, but this just sort of shows how much of an impact the stress of the day, the busyness of the day, the runaround of the day is having on your internal reserves to be able to face the next hard workout. That is actually a huge factor that many don't actually offer. Now, when you come to the sleep and the sleep score, here's the sleep. This is very similar to what it looked like before. Now you have some factors on the bottom where you can see it in a few different measures. But you see your stages as it's laid out and your pulse ox as it's laid out and your respiration rate. So a lot of people debate the stages and how much quality analytically this has. But to me, the best sleep score on the market today is the Garmin Sleep Score. It is, I would say, very much in line with Polar's sleep score as well as Whoop's sleep evaluation. And the body battery on Garmin relates more directly to the recovery score on Whoop's system. But I do think because it's taking into account all of these different factors, these different 6 factors physiologically for how it evaluates what score you get, let's take a look that when you get a bad night of sleep. This was after my horrible night. I stayed up, this was just after a super long stressful day. Even though it was a rest day, my sleep going into Thursday was terrible because of the workout Wednesday. So again, poor sleep scores all this week, which is why it makes sense for my training readiness to be in the gutter. So got some decent sleep scores and got some not so decent sleep scores, but this Garmin's the only watch that basically fails you, gives you an F rating in sleep score categories. So that's the other thing. The other thing that is new is this is how the heart rate variability looks. You can see a snapshot of when you are balanced or when you are below. So again, the week sort of wearing me down. I'm on the low end of the spectrum. Now I'm living on the low end of the spectrum most of this week because I am not recovered and I'm unbalanced, and it's sort of like saying, hey, you held some consistency last week and this week you're holding below the line, so you're just unbalanced. You're a mess. You're a mess. I had one good night because I rested that day, or I did just the stretching video, and then I didn't work out that day, and then back to the low scores. So that's the new heart rate variability metrics as you see it. You can see your actual stats from the timeline of the night before. So those are the primary wellness things: the heart rate variability, the body battery, and the sleep. Okay, so now we're going to look at the coup de grace. Now we're going to look at how training has evolved, both looking at the old and still awesome and the new and exciting. The first thing, in my opinion, I'm tracking some different things. So I tracked this last workout as something I shouldn't have. So let's look at this. I used the Wednesday watch, Wednesday as a multi-sport. So if you look at the multi-sport, you can see I did CrossFit, run, CrossFit. So I evolved a few different things all together, which is a very easy thing to do with the multi-sport capabilities if you're doing CrossFit. Let's look at a straight line workout. One of the things that is awesome about this watch and the analytics of it, now you have this new pretty heart rate screen, which was not there before, but you have aerobic impact and anaerobic impact. So you can see how that particular workout is affecting your training, both aerobically and anaerobically. And then you have your epoch, your load score at the bottom there. Plus you have this little load label, which is something unique to Garmin. So Coros is the only other manufacturer that does these two splits. Polar actually only gives you the load, as does Suunto. They call it something else, but they give you like a load or a rigor score. But Coros is the only one that gives you these two, but then also Garmin adds training effect labels to tell what type of training. And then coupled with it, we'll see in a second, is some other stats that flow into it. So that's what you see from a workout. In the biggest thing that has been a main staple for Garmin is this training status, where it tells you if you're improving or unimproving, declining in overall fitness capabilities. They base that on your VO2 max score, which does mean once a week you have to run for 5 minutes with GPS turned on, not sprints, but just sort of steady state run for it to evaluate your VO2 max to tell you if you're improving your fitness overall or not. That's a bummer to me because I'm not a runner, but I do it just to keep it. But now they're evaluating your acute load in this training status page, as well as your heart rate variability in the training status page, so that you again see the multiple physiological factors that are coming into your training. And then they go into multiple different factors to determine how your training is going. So you have sort of like a training evaluation program. Here's the load focus. Now, when I click on it, it's going to tell you certain information, then it's going to disappear. So you can see very quickly the 3 different types of load focus. So like what type of training load you put on your body. You can see anaerobic, highly aerobic, and lowly aerobic, and then it gives you ranges, and it tells you I'm in low aerobic, so I could just do more light workouts. More in this 4-week load focus, more light workouts would be more beneficial, they say, from my overall training development. You have your acute load. This is a whole new page. This is awesome because it gives a much better screenshot. You can see my workout of Wednesday really ruined me, or it was a spike in overall load, which crushed my overall. You can see your VO2 max as well as your heart variability status here, but your recovery. So 68 hours of recovery. I am still very far from recovered. It just says, take it easy, don't work out. I mean, I did work out today, but I did rest yesterday, and it's still 68 days. My restful day today, in my recovery time, it said, congratulations, you've had such a low stress day that you actually have improved or shortened your recovery time. So it's given you physiological changes because of just the overall low stress day that you had. That is unlike any other watch. No one is doing these things, taking into account multiple physiological factors for evaluating your recovery. This is how much time you should take before the next truly difficult workout, not just workout altogether. And then it has heat acclimation to tell you. So training readiness. This is powerful. I am at a 1. This is a 100-point scale. I am at a 1, and I was at a 1 yesterday. I have not recovered. It's just basically saying, hey, you still have a long-term trend. There's a notification. You still have a long-term trend of bad sleep, bad heart rate variability, or unbalanced heart rate variability, coupled with the fact that you still have a ton of recovery time built up from that one hard workout. So I am worn down physically, both from the aerobic impact of the workout, coupled with the impact of lack of sleep and lack of heart rate variability recovery. So this is now telling me a whole new stat. This is a new stat feature that goes through 2 single day elements. Sleep the last night was fair, and the recovery time is super high. So I am still depleting my overall training readiness because my recovery time is still way on the low down. The unbalanced means I'm not in the green in the heart rate status because I've just been, unhealthy with overworked. The acute load is optimal, so I got a green score there. Again, sleep history this week, poor. Stress history actually has not been that bad, although my body battery hasn't recovered because of my poor sleep. So my body battery, this just means that I didn't deplete my body battery through high stress days, but I did not recover it through the night. So if you get this many red categories and 1 orange and 1 green, then you're mainly, because of the recovery time, not ready for intense training. There's a lot of debate on the quality of this training readiness, but as I have tested the extreme versions of it, and I'll compare it to a couple of other manufacturers when we look at the app in a second, I feel like they are poised for doing something nobody else has been doing, and incorporating short-term physiological aspects and long-term over the last week, coupled with, the rigor of the last workout. So the training readiness, I think, is going to continue to get better and better. This is a super high quality stat, even if it's not quite fine-tuned just yet. So stay tuned for more. I'm going to do a full review on the training readiness. Now let's look at the app and how the training features unfold there. Now, when it comes to fitness, you have some of the old basics and the new great. So I'm testing the stamina feature by using a run workout converted to a CrossFit titled workout. So whenever you use a run workout, it calculates stamina. It's automatically built into the sport profile. So I'm going to be testing this over the week to see if you can use stamina in a CrossFit workout, even if you're not running. Because you can see I didn't go anywhere. I stayed right at CrossFit RTP. So I'm going to see, because you do still see stamina depletion. And if I click on that, it'll show me a big chart. So that's going to be something exciting to track over the next few weeks or 2 weeks. The training effect is long-standing with Garmin, aerobic impact and anaerobic impact. It is nice and awesome that it is showing both the aerobic impact and the anaerobic of your workout. You see all these stats, your respiration rate, your elevation, your temperature. That run walk is only because I'm using a run profile, and then your heart rate zones. So all this sort of juicy goodness data-wise in the workout itself, the evaluation of the workout. And then you have the other primary feature, which is training status, which shows you whether you're improving or decreasing in your overall aerobic capacity. And they do that based on your VO2 max. So you do have to run for 5 minutes at least once a week using the run profile in a GPS setting. It is now taken into account the heart rate variability, which is that same stat we just looked at. And then you have your load. The load, just like we talked about in the watch, you can see your anaerobic, highly aerobic, and low aerobic volume. So how much time so I'm way over the charts on highly aerobic because I was sort of really crushing the workouts as much as I could this week. My lowly aerobic, my sort of casual runs and the zone 2 and 3 heart rate, casual bike rides, casual anything is not enough. And then you get your load scores. Now it's really small where they put the load scores themselves. So you can see it under the July 15th, you see load 22. And then on July 13th, you see load 191. Now that was a high load, but it was on the heels of bad sleep, and hard workout, which is why it categorized me with a long recovery time, which just shows that Garmin is taking into account a much bigger picture than just the rigor of the one workout. Nobody's doing this. Nobody is taking into account multiple factors. So the load wasn't the highest score. Right there, July 13th, 191. Not the highest score I've ever gotten by far. I mean, that's a high score, but it was on the heels of 111 workout and 102 workout, which is a high load for me, and terrible sleep and terrible heart rate variability. So it said, all right, Jack, you just did a big workout on the heels of two bigger workouts after getting terrible sleep and having poor heart rate variability recovery. You're getting a 95-hour recovery time. So again, nobody's doing that. So that's the old and regular parts of Garmin. And then now, the training status layout is a little bit different on the way it looks. But now you have training readiness. Now you have to jump in, like I said in the previous section. If you have done a workout that day that has more than a 2.5 aerobic effect or aerobic impact on you, it's going to take away the training readiness as a watch, because this says just updated at 9 a.m. But it takes into account 2 one-day factors, sleep score and recovery time, and 4 7-day factors, heart rate variability, acute load, sleep score history, and stress history. So how stressed it was, all those different things. So it's taken into account 6 factors, 2 of them short-term, 4 of them long-term, in order to determine whether you're ready to work out. So when I went into the workout on Wednesday, I had a 21 because I was already at my sleep score, 47 the night before. So why did it give me a 95-hour recovery time? Right here. I went into Wednesday morning with a recovery readiness of 21, and then I did the hardest workout of the week. So I had a little bit better going into the Tuesday workout when I had 47 when I woke up, and then a little bit better on Monday. And on Sunday, I had a rough workout on Saturday and multiple bad factors there. But so Monday, I was ready to hit the ground, at least medium strong. I wore it down to 47. I wore it down to 21. And then I did a hard workout, and it said, you need to back off. You need to back off, Joker. One thing I also want to share about how it compares to other watches and other manufacturers. This was what I got yesterday when I woke up after that 95-hour calculation for training for recovery time. I just got a 1. It just stayed at a 1. It lived at a 1. It's still at a 1 this morning. But I woke up yesterday, and this is after the hard night of training on Thursday morning. This was my body battery. So it only increased by 29 points, not a very good rejuvenation. So this is sort of, this is how much I came back up. I charged 32 overnight. And this is what Polar gave me. So it said my sleep charge was okay when Garmin was saying I had a poorer score. And my ANS charge was, the autonomic nervous system was below usual, but it just said I was overall compromised in the lower 8. And if you look at that bar, it said I was probably like, 35%. So that really does compare with what the body battery is telling me, but it doesn't take into account the rigor of the training as well into a summary score like Garmin does. So that's what Polar, again, this sort of hits spot on with the body battery. And then what Whoop was telling me is I was 39% recovered. Hey, that looks a lot like the Polar recovery, and that looks like, hey, the body battery recovery. So I would say body battery relates more directly with what Polar summary and what the Whoop recovery is saying. So it was already built into the Garmin family of watches long ago without you having to pay $30 a month for a Whoop membership. So those are the same. Again, not taking into account the rigor of the workouts coupled with your overall physiological well-being. So again, training readiness, I think, stands out. And then the last, I don't know why I'm getting such, I basically just do a breathing exercise on my Apple Watch. This is Athletic, the app. And for some reason, it has just got me way high. I mean, look at that, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday. I missed Tuesday, I guess. I don't know what happened there. And I've been doing it for about 2 weeks. So they say you need about 60 days of doing a breathing exercise because the breathing captures heart rate variability. So again, Athletic, way off the mark. But Whoop and Polar are in line with the body battery, and Garmin is more standout with the training readiness. So it is taking into account so many physiological factors that no one is, and it will get better. That's one thing I will say. It will improve. One thing, just as a side thing that nobody else is doing, is this stamina feature. If you are a runner, the stamina feature is a stat nobody has. So that is another no one has type of deal. So in summary, this watch is the single best pound for pound, dollar for dollar watch on the market today, and in many ways by a landslide, by a big margin. You think about it, I mean, the thing about all the things that I said no one else has. Let's capture it, shall we? The screen size, the clarity, and the brightness. The ability to turn the brightness up, to adjust it for your particular set of eyes, your particular amount of clarity from your eyes, as well as the screen size itself. No one else has it. A lot of people have a lot of watches have 1.3 diameter screens. A lot of watches aren't controllable in the brightness. A lot of watches don't have the quality. They have more washed out, sort of bluish black, transflective screens. And so this watch has the best screen overall amongst all the watches that are out there. The fact that you can download music, but not just download music, the fact that you can connect to downloadable Spotify playlists, you can just fill it up with music. The fact that this has 4 times the music capacity of the original, and I think more than any other watch that's in the Garmin lineup, even from the new releases. The fact that this has full mapping, and not just that, there are, like the Coros watches launched a bit of mapping, but it's like a picture mapping. It can't really route you from one place. It can just show you where you are in a GPS reference. But this watch will actually take you to locations. You can find a Starbucks and walk your way there from the watch while listening to music without your phone associated and all your Spotify playlists on it. This watch has multi-band GPS. Now, multi-band GPS is on a number of watches, but now Garmin is making it a multi-band GPS efficiency. So it'll switch back before just singular satellite locking to multiple satellite locking based on the area, which is genius, and nobody else is doing it. 24/7 stress and body battery. Now, this is a function that's been around for a long time. Other watches have stress tracking, but they can't capture the 24/7 side. So if you test any of the watches that show stress tracking as a capable benefit, it's mostly going to capture it when you're in full stillness, mostly while you're asleep. It might capture like a single reading here or there throughout the day. This watch captures your stress throughout the entire day, almost on a minute by minute, and it calculates and assesses it to your body battery depletion, how run down you could be from the height of the stress that day. And then it takes those metrics and now flows it into all the other factors. It flows it into training readiness, it flows it into your morning report, it flows it into overall your training preparedness. The morning report itself, no other watch has actually come up with this great idea other than, how Whoop might tell you a recovery score at the beginning of the morning. This says, here's what the weather is. If you have a race coming up, this prepares you for the race. It talks about your training if you're doing running or cycling. It basically tells you what your last night's sleep was, how much body battery you've regenerated, how ready you are for the next hard workout. So it summarizes everything in one clear picture at the end of the day. Then when it comes to training, no other watch gets into the level of specificity with training load type. Even, looking at obviously the aerobic and anaerobic impact and the overall epoch or the overall training load from a singular workout, and then tying it all into an overall comprehensive training projection. More than that, it's now tying in the training readiness to 6 physiological factors, 2 based on the last 24 hours and 4 based on the last 7 days, to average all these things in, regardless of whether you think the training readiness is fully perked, fully custom, fully ready to bear all of the benefit it possibly could. Garmin's the only one that's tying in multiple physiological factors, both from training and from wellness and from sleep and from recovery, to be able to tell you, are you ready for the next hard workout, and how to shift your day, shift your plan, shift your sleep to be able to better prepare to hit the next workout hard, which is the fundamental aspect of having a rigorous training schedule where you want to push your body to all new heights. This is unlike anybody else. The stamina aspect, if you're a runner, the fact that it has sort of a stamina depletion calculation metric in the middle of a workout to show you how fully depleted you are based on the rigor of the workout nobody else is doing. And then one of the biggest things is they have a 3-factor recovery time. The fact that your recovery time isn't just like, okay, that was a really hard workout, you should wait this long. It's like, that was a really hard workout, you should wait that long, and your body battery is depleted this much, and you got this kind of quality of sleep. So we're gonna increase your recovery time, or we're gonna decrease it based on how restful of a day you had. So it's taking all these factors in. So when you think about this, no one else has all of these basic things. No one else is providing these benefits. They do not exist elsewhere. So a lot of times in these reviews, people ask the question, well, who is this watch for? Well, let's think about that. Considering the 15 different factors that no other watch on the market offers it this at the price point it is, or even at any price point, I think this watch is for anybody with $500. This watch is for anybody with $500 that can afford this watch, because this is the best watch on the market. So there's the summary. Who is this watch for? People with $500 or $600 if you want solar, which I don't personally think you need. I don't personally think, 2 weeks of battery life, 10 days of battery life if you're jacking the brightness up is a ton of time. No need to spend the $100 in my opinion. Now, it's not the most svelte, I think that's the right word. They're not the most super professional looking. It's got a plastic casing. That's a bummer. I really think they should start offering a 955 premium with a metal casing and a sapphire lens, sapphire glass on the screen. But otherwise, you could look at the Phoenix and get the more sort of rugged and steel looking, which has sort of a nice look to it. You could go for the Tactics 7, which I think has the best looking bezel of the Garmin lineup, but those are considerably more expensive. So let's compare it to some of the other watches on the market. The Coros family of watches. Number one, for the CrossFit community, you have to put in way more hours of running before you will get any of the training metrics. Again, you have to put in a ton of running before you're even allowed to access the full training platform. That's a bummer. The wellness features on Coros is completely very, very minimal compared to this watch, compared to even other watches like the Polar lineup. So the Vertix 2, the Apex Pro, nobody compares to the 955, and the Vertix 2 is a lot more expensive. Sure, it might look really sexy, but at the same time, you're looking at features, you're looking at benefits, you're looking at value. There is no comparison. The Polar line of watches. Now the Polar's got a cool looking Grit X Pro and the sort of professional, sleek looking Vantage V2, but those are much more simple training load calculations. They don't have multiple levels of training aspect analysis, as well as it doesn't have recovery time. It does do a great job on the recovery from your sleep, looking at the autonomic nervous system regeneration and a sleep score, and it does a good job there. Solid work, but at the same time, it's not evaluating the rest of the 24 hours in the day, or the other 18 hours of the day when you're not sleeping, as the Garmin body battery and stress does, as well as taking into account multiple factors that Garmin does. So looking at the price point, again, no competition. Polar doesn't have music storage. Polar doesn't have mapping. It doesn't have a lot of the functions that you just get out of the box, plus a whole bunch of other physiological metrics, plus the ability to add widgets, to add third-party apps. Nobody else has these things. Coros doesn't have third-party apps. None of those things even compete. Look at the Suunto line of watches. The 9 Peak has some of these benefits, or sort of light versions. It's just sort of like Resources is body battery light. The sleep analysis is like a sleep light, and it doesn't give you full in-depth analysis. You can't dive into the data. So it is just a very light version. Now, Suunto did bring on the Training Peaks algorithm, the Training Peaks analysis for training load, and that is a solid system. As I said in other reviews, that is a great system for evaluating your fitness development, fitness growth over time. But still, the Garmin accomplishes everything, in my opinion, you could also want, but it also adds 5,000 other features. 5,000. So it's adding so many other things. Take Whoop into it. Whoop actually does a good, simple job if you just want to track strain, recovery, and sleep, and just look at an overall sort of recommendation for how hard you should go based on how well you slept and how much recovery was through that sleep. But again, it's looking at little segments of your training or segments of your wellness. And specifically, the wellness segment is just in your last night's recovery, heavily weighted on heart rate variability. That might be something that physiologically people believe, but the Garmin takes into account multiple other factors, and they're continuing to evolve the science of providing more holistic coverage of all these physiological factors in a more well-rounded watch that has a bajillion more other features, and also includes the time of day when you want to look at it. So in my opinion, Whoop doesn't compare unless you absolutely hate watches. So the Apple Watch has some benefits in the sense that it has an excellent heart rate sensor, in the sense that you can culminate some of these stats through multiple third-party apps, but you have to monitor all these apps, you have to track all these apps in order to get a version, and a partial version at that, of what the 955 brings all in one. So again, this is the best watch for the dollar price, this is the best watch on the market. So if you have $500, this is the watch for you. If you like training, this is the watch for you. If you want to have a rigorous training, this is the watch for you. If you want a customization, this is the watch for you. If you want mapping, just to be able to plot your course across a hike, across a canyon, across, kayaking down a river, this is the watch for you. If you want to have Spotify playlists and download it, and by the way, 4 times the storage of any of the other watches that have been released of said Spotify playlist, this is the watch for you. If you like watches, this is the watch for you. If you like bright screens, this is the watch for you. If you like high-level analysis, if you want, a company that's evolving their physiological analysis, this is the watch for you. If you want further and future updates that have been faster than any other watch manufacturer, this is the watch for you. So again, this is the review for the Garmin Forerunner 955. It's a figure hunter. Thanks so much for watching.